Okay, we're back, and I hope this time we don't run into issues. Again, that's not up to us. We could only, I hope we stay fine this time, okay? So let's dive right into the subject. Again, I gave a plug before to my Kabbalah class. We're going to give a Kabbalah class in the fall semester. You could take the Kabbalah class. It's going to be a totally online course. Go at your own pace, if you will, anytime during the week. It's a weekly module that you do and be a part of it, learn a lot about the Kabbalah, and you could sign up today at my.ucf.edu. You go to the course catalog, and the course name is JST 3210. So Judaic Studies 3210, JST 3210. Please sign up, join the class. It's going to be a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot about Jewish mysticism, and not just in a theoretical way, but also in a practical way. So diving into today's topic. Today's topic is why do we say Mazal Tov? I'm sure if you've been around Jews or you're Jewish yourself, you use Mazal Tov a lot. What is Mazal Tov? Where does it come from? And why do we say it? Okay, so the word Mazal is Hebrew. The word Mazal and its Hebrew origin appears in the Tanakh. And this goes back to the times of the king Yoshiyahu. He was the king of Judah, of the Davidic dynasty. He instituted major reform in Judaism, in his kingdom, to rectify his grandfather Menashe's sinful way. His grandfather Menashe, in his early days of his kingdom, of being king, was very sinful, and he idol worship and all. And his grandson Yoshiyahu tried to eradicate that, and he removed all the pagan altars and utensils from the temple, and he abolished all forms of worship to the sun, the moon, and the mazalot, which is the stars and constellations, and any heavenly body. Mazal comes from the word nozel, meaning flow, because the planetary bodies flow in their ways in the skies. So he abolished any type of worship of any heavenly body, any of the mazalot. In the Talmudic and medieval times, Jewish sages taught that the position of the planets at any given time affected and impacted events in this world, kind of the concept of astrology as we know it. The following passage from the Talmud describes how a constellation or a star or a moon reigns at that time of somebody's birth affects many aspects of a person's life. I know in America, daily horoscopes is a huge thing. I think daily horoscopes, horoscopes.com has over 5 million monthly unique visitors. And I think they say that research reveals that over one third of American women read their horoscopes at least once every month. So this concept is a very big idea of the concept of the impact of the horoscopes, or the impact of astrology on our lives. And yet here we see in the Talmud that the time you were born, where the constellations were, where the stars were lined up, where the moon was, where the sun was, would have a very big effect on your life. This comes from a Talmud, the Tractate of Shabbat, page number 156, side A. And the Talmud tells us, and I'll read from you the Talmud, and I quote, "He who is born under the constellation of the sun will be a distinguished man. He will eat and drink of his own, and his secrets will lie uncovered. If a thief, he will have no success. He who is born under Venus will be wealthy. He who is born under Mercury will be of retentive memory and wise. He who is born under the moon will be a man to suffer evil. He will build and demolish and build. He will eat and drink that which is not his, and his secrets will remain hidden. If a thief, he will be successful. He who is born under Saturn will be a man whose plans will be frustrated. Others say that all nefarious designs against him will be frustrated. He who is born under Jupiter will be a right-doing man. He who is born under Mars will be a shedder of blood. Rav Ashi observed, he will be a surgeon or thief or slaughterer or circumciser. Abraham said before God, I have looked at my constellation and found that I am not fated to beget a child. God replied, cease your planet gazing. What is your calculation? That Jupiter, the constellation you were born under, stands in the west? I will turn it back and place it in the east. So here from this piece of Talmud, this Talmudic text embraces some form of astrology, the fact that the constellation and where the sun, moon, or the planets are while we're born have a tremendous effect on how our life will turn out. Okay? That the concept of the future and fortune telling and the concept of your future to be known by the stars, and a human being, at least someone as wise as saintly as Abraham, was able to correctly tell the future. So you see this concept here in this piece of the Talmud. Nevertheless, this piece of Talmud also teaches us two very important things. It qualifies it in two very important ways. First, this piece of the Talmud teaches us that God can change things around, as he did for Abraham upon Abraham's prayers. Prayers and other good deeds can help a person escape your mazel. So you see that even though the constellations or the mazals didn't have children in Abraham's future, God told Abraham, don't worry about that. I could change that. So the first thing is that God is really in control, and even if something is not meant to be or not written for you in the way the mazals line up, you can see that God can change those things. And second, with regard to character, people are not created with traits that will definitely lead them to sin. Man always has free choice. That is why, as we said before in the piece of the Talmud, that Rav Ashi said, one opinion said that if you're born under Mars, you'll be a spiller of blood. And Rav Ashi said you could be a surgeon, you could be a circumciser, you could be a ritual slaughterer. Just because you have the tendency to shed blood, you can find a positive outlook for that. And a similar principle is operative in other situations. You may have certain tendencies, says this piece of Talmud, based on the constellations and the setup of the stars when you were born, but in no way does that end up being the end-all be-all. Those might be certain tendencies, but a person always has the free will to utilize those tendencies and to use them for good things. And in everything that and every character trait a person has means that you have a tendency toward those things. But obviously, if you want, a person always has the free choice to either take that tendency and utilize it for something positive and healthy or good, or even if there's no positive outlet for it, a person always has the control to not act on his lusts or desires or tendencies. You could always, being a human being means the power of moach shalit al halev. Your mind can control your heart, and even if you really want something, or you have an urge for something, or you have a tendency to be pulled in a certain direction, you always have the ability to overcome them and do as you wish. So far, let's summarize real quick. While our sages seem to embrace some sort of astrology, they also asserted that, one, ultimately God can change our mazel. They're not just fated to whatever your mazel brings. God can change that for you. And B, we always have free choice despite our mazel. That means no matter what, we are always able to choose to live as we want, even if we have certain tendencies pulling us in certain directions. Do all sages believe that there's some form of astrology in Judaism? So there's a voice of dissent. Jewish sages in Marseille, in the times of Maimonides, asked Maimonides about astrology, and Maimonides, in response, completely dismissed it, as he writes in a letter to the community of Marseille. All predictions, and I quote from Maimonides in his letter, all predictions of stargazers are lies in the opinion of all who are knowledgeable in science. And basically he says that we don't believe in stargazers. The Maimonides, the Rambam, offers many different reasons why you shouldn't bring proof from our passage in the Talmud that we just read that seems to say that there is some form of astrology. He says that that piece of Talmud is a metaphor for something. It's a metaphor. They're talking a metaphor. They don't actually mean that we believe in astrology. So Maimonides disagrees. But most of the sages do believe in astrology. They disagree with the Rambam. And they assume that Mazel does have an effect on your life. And this is the background of the word Mazal Tov. Mazal Tov, when we started it in its original form, Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid writes in his book Sefer HaChasidim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Shmuel HaChassid lived from 1140 to the year 1217. He writes that when a woman is in labor and others are outside the room in the same house, they ought to pray for mercy upon her, and that the child should be born under a good mazel. So he says that when people are in the same building or same house as a woman giving birth, they should pray and they should say that let it be in the right mazel, let it be in a good mazel, let it be in let the baby be born under a good constellation, so to speak. The daily or hourly mazel in which a person is born has a lasting impact on his life. So consequently, the family of a woman who's about to give birth would pray that the baby should arrive during a desirable mazel, that it should be done, that the baby should be born at the right time. It would be equivalent to praying that a child inherit the healthy genes from his parents or from his family, from his ancestors. In this context, when a person said Mazal Tov, it was kind of a short prayer that whatever event was about to occur should be under the influence of a positive mazel. It was therefore appropriate to answer Amen. So people would say Mazal Tov. It was like a short prayer, so to speak, that things should happen in the right way, and people would respond Amen. But over the centuries, you've probably never seen that. People say Amen after someone says Mazal Tov. But over the centuries, Mazal Tov went through a transformation. Today, the speaker is almost always not thinking about heavenly bodies or influences. Some people, probably you mean it as more of a congratulations. Some people say it as a prayer and a blessing that all should work out in the best possible way, which is not far from the original intent, just stripped away of any astrological intent. And others merely want to say congratulations. It's like saying congrats. Instead of saying congrats, you say Mazal Tov. But ultimately, where this stems from, it stems from this concept of praying that the person should be born, a baby should be born in a good mazel. So, to summarize, the phrase Mazal Tov originated as a wish that a baby be born under a good and auspicious mazel. Nowadays, Mazal Tov is intended as a blessing that everything should work out in the best possible way, or sometimes it's just used as a quick congratulations as well. Okay, so there you have it, the concept of Mazal Tov. But we're not done yet. There is a one deeper dimension of Mazal Tov. This, what I just told you, was all according to the revealed aspects of the Torah, the canon of Jewish Torah and literature of the revealed Torah. But there's also Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah and Chassidus delves a dimension deeper and sheds and tries to infuse a unique light into each subject matter, and Mazel and Mazal Tov included. And this is another quick plug. You see how Kabbalah delves into a deeper dimension. So join us in our Kabbalah class this fall semester, an online class. You could sign up in web courses or in the courses catalog, JST, course code JST 3210. So here we'll give you a little snippet of Kabbalah of Mazal Tov. The goal of the mystical dimension of Kabbalah is to probe deeper, much deeper than a physical planet or a physical star. God is called Ein Sof, which means no end. He is not limited by any descriptors. He transcends all definitions and qualities and is the source of all definition and qualities, but he transcends them. Although he is the source of all definition and qualities, for example, kindness and wisdom, he's the source of them all, he could have, by the same token, created many more qualities or many less. He could also have created none of these qualities that we know or a whole bunch of other ones. So he is not limited by these qualities. He created these qualities, but he's not limited by them. So we call him Ein Sof, never ending. The mind can't really fathom these qualities because they don't exist. The Ein Sof expression, the never-ending expression of God, is undefined and unlimited in any way, and has every imaginable potential. Anything that is possible or even impossible is doable by God. Yet anybody that ever dabbled in Kabbalah knows that God expresses himself in the form of 10 attributes, the 10 sefirot, right? So 10 attributes: wisdom, understanding, knowledge, chachma, bina, das, chesed, kindness, gevura, discipline, etc. These sefirot are expressions of God's finitude, God expressing himself in a finite way. God expresses himself in these limited definitions in order to create our limited world. Our world is a world of limitation, and God created our world. And when he interacts with our world, it's from a place of a place of limit. Normally, God works through his finite expressions of chesed, gevura, kindness, and discipline, etc., to sustain this world. This makes sense because our world, to come into being and to stay limited, needs to be built in this kind of limited, from a limited reality. This reality is that the divine energy that enters our world to provide for us and to bless us is limited and constricted. One of those general limitations is cause and effect. Man receives only according to his merits. If you deserve something, you get it. If you're undeserving, then you don't get it. However, there are times when God breaks this pattern and infuses the world with something that it doesn't necessarily really deserve. And he inserts into this world one of his infinite ways of expression, breaking all rules of cause and effect and giving somebody something really that they don't deserve at all. And sometimes God brings that as well. This level, in the words, in the terminology of Kabbalah and Chassidus, is called Mazal. Mazal means God's infinity, God's infinite form of expression. So the infinite level of godliness that surpasses the normal system is called Mazal. And even if one lacks some merit, one can still be blessed with children, life, and sustenance when receiving from this higher level of Mazal that overrides and supersedes all boundaries and limitations and gives a person beyond what they are deserving of. So Mazal Tov, according to Chassidus and Kabbalah, is a wish that the blessings that we get from God shouldn't come from the limited form and follow only the order and cause of effect and limited by what we deserve or what we don't deserve. When we say Mazal Tov, we are requesting that our blessings flow from a place that's God's infinity. And whether we're deserving and whether we're not deserving, we should realize the blessings that we need in our life. And we ask God, provide for us, give for us, bless us from this level of infinity where the reality that we deserving or not deserving shouldn't come into play, but we should get no matter what. So Mazal Tov, from a Kabbalistic point of view, may you be showered with health, especially during these crazy times, and blessings, and with everything that you need, and that God shouldn't look at you and say, well, do you deserve this? Do you not deserve this? How deserving are you? What was meant to be? What is your mazel give you? What do the stars have in store for you, etc.? God should bless us from his infinity, and nothing should get in the way, and we should each experience ultimate blessings when it comes to health, happiness, sustenance, children, work, whatever it is that we need, we should get from God's infinite blessing. So that wraps up today's class. Let's just summarize. So in Jewish mysticism, Mazal refers to the infinite level of God that surpasses the limited system through which God expresses himself, including bestowing blessings according with merit. Even if one lacks merit, one can still be blessed with children, life, and sustenance when receiving from the level of Mazal, the infinite level of God. So, key points of the whole class is a quick summary. While the Talmud embraces some form of astrology which explains the origins of Mazal Tov, it also asserts that God is always in control and that he can change any given outcome, and that human beings always maintain free choice regardless of the Mazal. And on a mystical level, Mazal refers to God as he is beyond limits and definitions. Mazal Tov is a wish that one should receive blessing of goodness, Tov, that the Tov that we get, the goodness that we get, should come from this infinite level of God, which surpasses all calculations of merit. That wraps up the class for today. I hope you enjoyed. And just a quick plug, a daily plug for our raffle. Our raffle we run in the summer is still ongoing. There's about 20 days left, and we are just about halfway to our goal, a little bit more than that. We actually have a weekly goal, and we're still 36 tickets short, I believe, or 35 tickets short of meeting our weekly goal. That's 2 times chai. 2 times chai, 2 times 18 is 36. I think we're 36 tickets short of meeting our weekly goal for this week. But the tickets, it's a raffle, it's a fundraiser to help support the work that we do on campus at UCF and Valencia, to support the students and giving them their needs, like our Shabbat to goes that we do, our Torah classes, and many other things that we're there for students putting up mezuzahs, as you've seen. Even during Corona, we've been trying to put up mezuzahs for people that need them, with obviously proper social distancing and masks and stuff like that. But please help support Jewish life at UCF and Valencia. Make a difference. You could win $10,000, 2 tickets to Israel worth $3,500, $1,000, $540, $360. But the main thing is you're an automatic winner when you buy a raffle ticket, because you're winning a mitzvah, and you're giving students the opportunity to have a strong Jewish environment on campus that they can embrace and celebrate their Judaism, grow, and be connected with family, even when they have a home away from home, have family away from home when they're in college on campus. On Sunday, we'll come back with another class. Why do Jews eat gefilte fish on Shabbos? So there's a custom, Ashkenazi Jews eat gefilte fish on Shabbos. And even if you're Sephardic, we've had many a Sephardic Jew come to Chabad at UCF and eat Rivki's gefilte fish. And oftentimes they say, please, 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 don't tell my mom I eat gefilte fish. And she'll be upset that I like your gefilte fish. But gefilte fish, where does it come from? Why do we eat gefilte fish on Shabbos? Okay, that wraps up our class for today. Hope you're doing well and have a wonderful day. Oh, good Shabbos. Sorry. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. It's actually also a Hasidic holiday. First of all, it's the 4th of July, so it's America. So it's a American holiday as well. But it's also in the Chabad calendar. It's a big day as well. It's the 12th and 13th of Tammuz, 12th of Tammuz, and it's the anniversary of the liberation of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe from the Soviets. Put him in jail, and they wanted to execute him, and with a lot of pressure, miraculously, they expelled him. They commuted his sentence. They took away the death penalty, and they sent him in exile. But ultimately, they just threw him out of Russia. It's a day that Chabad Hasidim around the world celebrate. So tonight, for your Shabbos dinner, have an extra l'chaim on grape juice, wine, or whatever you say l'chaim on, depending if you're of age, and celebrate. Celebrate. It's a special day. The Frierdiker Rebbe writes that this day is a holiday for anybody that considers themselves Jewish. So join in the holiday, 12th, 13th of Tammuz. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful Shabbat. And please encourage family and friends to buy raffle tickets. Your mother, your father, your bubby, your zaidi, your uncles, your aunts, cousins, anybody that can help us reach our goal really helps